Welcome to the official Guns Up Nation podcast, the premier voice for the fearless fans of Raiderland. Let's meet today's hosts.
Hey, Red Raider Nation, you're listening to the official Guns Up Nation podcast. I'm your host, John Darden, alongside the man, the guy, that when he was on the mound, Red Raider Nation, we know you felt good. Yeah. You knew we're low-scoring game on the other side. Just get our bats going. Just a couple of runs is all we need, and this guy is going to pull it out. The most dependable pitcher on this year's Texas Tech baseball team, consistently clocking a 98-mile-per-hour fastball. Throws all kinds of pitches. He's got all the nasty ones, throws off all the batters. And I'm telling you, I know you feel this, Red Raider Nation. When this guy is on the mound, you felt a solid sense of security that this game is going to go our way. The record states it, 9-3. We got 106 strikeouts. The man, Brandon Birdsell.
Thank you for the intro.
Did I do good?
Yeah, that was good.
First question out of the gate. We got to talk about the stash, dude. It popped up in the regional. It's still here. What's going on?
You know, funny thing is, I remember Andrew Morris. He was so against the stashes because he said one time he had a stash and he pitched bad, and you know we convinced him to do it. And he posted something on his Snapchat story the other day, and he still got it. You know, he didn't want to do it. Now he's still got it going. So a few of us still got the stash going. I don't know. It's grown on me. It's a different look, and so yeah, it's just here. For who knows how long.
Well, we can't not mention the fact that your fiance is in the studio with us today.
Yep. Right over here.
And I don't think we have a camera on her, but as loud as you can so we can hear it in the mic. Emily, stash, is it staying or is it going?
Oh, man.
Oh, man, she said.
I can read her mind. She's saying it's staying.
Oh, man. Okay, well, speaking of staying, you are not staying at Texas Tech next year, obviously. Tell us what's next for you.
Man, just wait to hear my name called when the draft rolls around next week. And other than that, there's nothing else we can do.
What's that process been like for you? It's
a lot of phone calls and, Zoom calls and, people scouts just, checking in and, on the phone with my advisor a lot, talking about different things. And, I'm so fortunate to be in this position because in past years, it was such a stressful time because I knew I wanted to come back here next year. And so last year I was I don't want to get drafted. And so, but my advisors were wanting me to. By the way, I have different advisors, so not the same guys. And it was my heart was tugging somewhere, but I was having to make all these decisions, and it was so stressful. But this year, I'm so grateful for, the year that we had, and just have the opportunity to talk to scouts and talk to my advisor and be happy about it and not be stressed out of my mind about this. So it's been fun. It's been exciting, and we're just excited to see what happens next weekend.
What's the process been like for you? Before we hit record, we were talking about you're talking to scouts early in the morning, late in the evening. What goes into the process of you're finishing up your collegiate career and you're transitioning into the draft process? What all is going on behind the scenes for the casual fan that doesn't understand?
Well, the good part is that there's nothing else you can do. I did my job. I went out and I put up numbers this year, and I posted up every start, which was a big thing for my injury last year. They wanted to know if I could pitch a full season. I did that. And so I've done everything I possibly could have, and that's the relieving feeling. Now it's in other people's hands. But I mean, other than that, just been, we just work out and throw, keeping the arm in shape just in case I got to go play somewhere. There's a chance I might not even throw an inning till next season. So, not really much has changed since the end of the season, just staying in shape and, just being ready for whenever my name's called to, go, wherever they need me to go.
So let's dive into this past season. What stands out for you from this 22 baseball team?
What stands out for me was, regardless of how many ups and downs we had, we always tried to rally back. Whether we, from the Oklahoma series and the Big 12 tournament, and then, going to the championship game and the regional, and then for people, they ended up going to beat Tennessee and going to the World Series. So then now people are like, oh, it's okay that we lost it, But regardless of how down we might have been, we didn't give up. Didn't give up one bit. We pushed through to the end, and our season was cut a little short, probably a little earlier than a lot of us wanted to, but we showed a lot of grit, throughout the year, regardless of how bad we may have played at certain times.
Yeah, and I think the Texas Tech fan base, we've gotten used to like regional just being we're gonna win that.
Yeah.
We'll get and we'll win it here in Lubbock, right? So it was a different year for Tech baseball, which going back to that, I mean, not even that long ago, regional was a dream. It was a pipe dream. And now winning regional is just sort of the expectation all the time. Yeah. So I think the fan base can echo the reality that Notre Dame was really freaking good.
Yeah.
I mean, you saw what they did the next round.
They were. And, it's fair when that's what people expect, or that's what you expect when you come play a place like this. And, minus a couple midweek games, we're hosting. We finished big second in the Big 12. A lot of people don't even realize that. Yeah. We finished second in the Big 12. I mean, we had a few bad weekends, but we were one game away from a 40-win season. What
was it? Because, and spoiler alert, this is not the first time we sat down with Brandon. This is the second time we actually are having to redo what we did the first time. So we talked about this in the previous one.
I think that was mid-March, maybe?
Yeah, it was a while ago. It was.
I remember.
It was a little bit before
April?
Big 12. Yeah, maybe in April. But we talked about the Tech baseball team sometimes was Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Like is either really great or it was not so great. What the midweek series seemed to be a bugaboo for us. What was it in your opinion about that? Because you typically weren't traveling with the team in the midweek series, right?
Yeah. When they would I would be at the ones that were home, but I didn't go to the ones that we traveled to. And man, I don't know if I've got a clear-cut answer on that. Just things didn't really go our way. It could have been a lot of things: lack of focus, lack of preparation. Oh, it's another midweek game. It's just New Mexico. We beat them, 20-something to something last time.
Right.
So just there could be a lot of different factors. It just so happened that we lost to the teams we couldn't have lost to from an RPI standpoint, which college baseball or NCAA, if you're watching this, change the RPI system because that's a bunch of eyewash.
That is a whole other podcast in and of itself, right? The BS, I agree with you, of the RPI system it's trash.
I mean, TCU's not hosting, and they're the dang Big 12 winners.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Yeah.
And then you got Oklahoma State, who finished fourth, I think, in the Big 12, and they're not hosting. Oklahoma, who's in the championship game of the World Series, isn't hosting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But you got Oklahoma State and Texas. I mean, granted, Texas, by all means, Texas had a great year. They had a great offense and everything. But, I mean, as you can see, I'm getting a little fired up about this RPI system.
I love the passion, man. That's I think we all agree with you. And it's worked in our favor in the past. The RPI system has worked in our favor in the past. But this is one of those years where you are kind of stepping back going, what the heck?
It was the midweeks can be a double-edged sword, too, because it's like you're expecting to win, but also it's like everyone thinks the world's ending if you lose.
Right.
But I mean, I think that's what happened to TCU. If I'm wrong, they did lose a couple midweeks also to teams that they shouldn't have. That really brought their RPI down. And it's like, come on, you're deciding the postseason based off of a couple bad midweeks.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then it's like we're going into Oklahoma State, sweeping them at home, and they're hosting. But it's more important that we lost to New Mexico,
right,
in a midweek game than going into OSU and sweeping them.
Yeah.
It's like, it drives me nuts. It makes no sense.
There's not a whole lot about the NCAA in any sport that makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah,
so
it's fair.
Sorry, NCAA. Nobody likes you. So, I mean, it's easy, I think, to go down we could have done, should have done, would have done. But let's talk about some of the high points, too, this year. What for you specifically, let's talk about you individually and then talk about the team. What were some high points for you from this past season? It's
hard to say, or it's hard not to talk about when I had 15 strikeouts against Rice. That was a fun game. But when things are going your way, everything's clicking, that's when pitching's easy. Yeah. It's like it felt like nobody could hit the ball that game. And that was a fun one. The Kansas State game, where I think I had 12 strikeouts. That was a good game. I think I only given up one hit that game. There was another really cool moment, that West Virginia game. That Friday game gets canceled or postponed, and we play the doubleheader Saturday. So I show up to the ballpark, probably in the first inning of that first game, and then Morris is going good, and then he has the really tough game. It's a really tough inning where it's like, a bunt here and then an error and then an error and then something, and then I think they score 5 or something like that, and something along those lines.
Yeah, that was just a wild inning.
And then he just shoves for the next 7 innings, and I was so proud of him. And then I was getting ready for the game as they were finishing up because there was only about 45 minutes in between games, and so I'm going out to the field as they're coming into the locker room to eat and just relax before the second game. And it just so happened that we timed up to where we met right at home plate, and we just gave each other a hug because I was so proud of him. And then I ended up throwing the complete game, the second game, and so we used 2 pitchers in 2 games, and that was when our bullpen was kind of struggling, and we're like, hey, the bullpen threw really well today. So that was a pretty cool moment. There's a lot of fun moments in certain games that, they may have not been the greatest outings, but I remember the Texas game that I pitched in. That was a fun game because it was a grind, and it was hot, and it was against Texas, and there was a lot of big moments in that game that I remember. Melendez hits a single. Thank the Lord it wasn't a third home run. And then somebody, I think Murphy Stay, they hit a double off me or something. So runners at second and third, no outs. I strike the next 3 guys out. There's a lot of little moments like that too. Yeah,
I think that was a really good moment for Texas Tech baseball's Instagram too. They caught that fiery passion of you walking off the mound. Yeah. And that was when Melendez was right in the middle of his unbelievable.
Yeah, I actually DM'd him the other day, and I was like, hey, just congrats on the year. Glad I could contribute a couple of those bombs to you. And then, it was mutual respect. He's like, no, you're a great pitcher and all this stuff. But, he definitely had a really great season. It was fun to watch him have that year. Yeah,
not when he's up to bat, though, against you. So what were some moments from this past year, twofold here, that as a team was really unifying? And then give us some funny moments from this past year.
I know it's a little later in the year, but definitely that Oklahoma State series. After that, we felt like we could go out and beat the Yankees.
Yeah.
That was
I think you could have that weekend.
Yeah, I think we could. That was our peak baseball. That was when everything was clicking, and that was our potential. We just, couldn't get back to there. But it's hard. It's hard after that weekend we had there to not be on top of the world, and that was definitely probably our highest point. And we felt super confident. We were like, we're hosting. We're about to make a crazy run, and just things happen. But
give me some funny moments.
Funny moments. I don't know if this will really embarrass him or not, but looking back on it now, it's kind of funny. The ACU midweek that they end up winning in Lubbock. Sam Hunt's going to catch a fly ball, and it hits him in the face, and then the guy ends up having an inside the park home run.
That was tough.
It was tough, but now we look back on it as funny, but in the moment, probably not. But
let's see if we can find that clip.
Yeah,
we'll attach it.
Insert clip.
Okay, we'll give him a shout out too.
It's the walk-offs that we had too. I don't remember. The Texas series was definitely that brought us together a lot because we had back-to-back walk-offs, and Kurt steals home, then hits the grand slam the next game, and that was first Big 12 series. And, Texas at that time was like ranked third or fourth, I believe, and so taking 2 out of 3 from them, and it kind of got us a good start. All the walk-offs this year, they really bring you together as a team because it's it's a fun and exciting moment. And, you're cheering with everybody and all this stuff. And, definitely all those walk-offs that we had this year.
Baseball's a funny sport. Just all the things that can happen from a ball bouncing off your face to stealing home to win a game to pitching what was the final score of the last game of the regional against
2-1.
2-1. So with our bats the whole year, if you're telling us Brandon's going to hold them to 2 runs, you're thinking we're going to smoke them. It's just what an interesting game that baseball is.
It was just like the narrative kind of switched. All year it was about, well, we're going to score 10, 15 runs, however much we need to win this game. But then in the regional, it was the opposite. Yep. The bullpen or the pitching staff as a whole really picked it up, and but that's just the game of baseball. It's just sometimes it doesn't go your way. You don't know why, or sometimes you have a bad day. It is a little bit different because any given day of the week, any team in America can win. I remember playing Kent State early in the year, and that Friday game they're up 4-2 or something like that till like the 7th or 8th inning, and so it just shows that you got to show up every single day to play. And you got to be ready, or else the other team's going to be ready to kick you in the mouth. So much momentum in the sport of baseball, too. So I have to ask, in the regional, I can't even imagine how frustrating that was for you all as a team. But as the guy on the mound, as the ace pitcher for Texas Tech baseball, do you play any role with those batters in helping them identify maybe what the pitcher's trying to do to them, or are you pitchers are pretty well doing their thing? Does that question make sense? No, we don't. We kind of leave it up to the hitters to figure that stuff out because, for one, I don't hit the ball no more, and there's a good reason why I don't, because I'm not very good at it. But just when you get to that point, you can't start like changing what you've done the whole year. And there are times where I'm like, hey, he's tipping this way, he's doing this and he's throwing fastball every single time. And, but other than that, small little, tips like, hey, he's doing this, or hey, he's doing that. Other than that, not really. No. Cause, I just haven't gotten to that point where I can pick up on that stuff easily. No. So yeah, not a whole lot. I was just curious. I think that most of Red Raider Nation was sitting back, number one, in the moment thinking we left so much on the field from a hitting standpoint, but then watching what Notre Dame goes and does at Tennessee after that, it's like, okay. That's pretty freaking good baseball team over there. I will say they by far, they were the best bullpen we have faced all year. Yeah. It's just like they brought out 3 straight guys pumping 95, with a, good changeup or a good curveball. And, they go on a run and finish 5th or 6th in the country, So, and that was another team that kind of got gypped of a hosting a regional. They were definitely in that mix. And I remember they kind of felt like they got screwed because they weren't hosting. Yeah. And then they ended up going on a run and making a run at a national title. Yeah. So yeah. Well, I think half of y'all's regional felt like you should have been hosting. Yeah. But back to that NCAA conversation is what it is. Okay, give us the 2-minute version of from A&M
to Texas Tech? What is that evolution? And for those that don't know, you originally were at Texas A&M before you transferred here.
You talk about just from a baseball standpoint?
Yeah, just that experience. Like what you were at A&M, you commit to A&M, you're from Killeen, right?
I'm from
no,
Willis.
not Killeen, Willis.
Yeah.
And A&M's your dream school, growing up, right?
Yeah.
And things didn't work out. So what happened in that transition to get you from Texas A&M to Texas Tech?
Right from leaving A&M, just didn't like it. Wasn't developing and just wasn't my place. And transferred. And right when I transferred, I knew I was going to go to San Jack, but I had so many people reaching out to Tech for me because at the time, Drew Baker was here, Cole Stillwell, Max Marshak, all these guys I played with. And so I remember talking with Drew one time, and he was saying how laid back it was. And coming from a military school where I'm, doing all this crap, I was like, I want to go there. They're good, and I want to go there because that's when they made a run at a Title II when they went to Omaha. And so right away I knew I wanted to go there. So there was a guy that I was going to that I was friends with that was at A&M, transferred to San Jack, and then going to Tech. He reached out to them for me, and then along the line, there's like 4 or 5 different people that reached out to Tech for me. So they were interested, and I go to San Jack, recovering from injury. They offer me, say yes. Shortened season happens. I start pitching well. And I actually had interest in the 3rd and 4th round of that shortened draft, but I knew I wanted to come here. I knew I knew the upside from coming here and pitching well. So turn it down. Come here, having a good year last year. End up starting to find my groove, and then shoulder injury happens. And right from there, I knew I didn't want to get drafted. I knew I wanted to come back for another year. Just some miscommunication and I don't even know what I call it, but it's advisors advised me with the wrong advice. Just feeding me all this information in the draft. I ended up getting selected and then stressing out. Do I want to go? Do I want to stay? Do I want to go? Do I want to stay? I remember her. She's having a breakdown every other day because one day she thinks I'm here, and then the next day I'm going to Florida. And so end up staying, and then end up having this year, and that's where we're at now. So.
And it was an incredible year. I mentioned some of the stats already. 9-3, 2.75 ERA, 106 strikeouts. Those are good numbers.
Thanks.
Clocking 98 multiple times.
I was up to 100 a couple times.
I remember, I think it was that Oklahoma State series that you all went to Stillwater and just dominated. Yeah. And the commentator was the father of the Oklahoma State head coach. Yeah,
so that's a family business down there. It is
a family business.
They got their dad is the announcer. Head coach is Josh Holliday. What's the other? The other guy's a Hall of Famer or going to be a Hall of Famer. What's his first name? Anyways, Holliday, and then his son, who's projected to be like one of the top 5 picks, is committed there also. Which it's not so like daddy ball because obviously the kid's good,
right.
But. It is a family business down there in Stillwater.
Well, I just remember Daddy Holiday on TV just drooling over you and what you were doing on the mound.
I remember seeing a lot of things on Twitter about how people didn't like that guy.
Well,
they weren't fond of his announcing.
He was very Homer, obviously, but yeah. I felt like every time you pitched the ball, that dude just fell in love over and over. I just wondered if Emily would have to fight him off if he was standing right next to you at that point in time. But that game, I wonder if that game was one of those, because that series got a lot of attention nationally, right? And seeing what you did when you were on the mound that game and hearing the father of the opponent's coach over and over and over say things like, MLB scouts, you better be watching this guy. Look what he is doing. He's tearing us up. We cannot hit him. He looks like an MLB pitcher. Even the psychology, and I don't remember specifics, but that guy, I don't know what you paid him that day, but he absolutely adored you. And it's just, I think it's important for Texas Tech fans to see the big perspective of the journey, right?
Yeah.
You started A&M, didn't work out. You commit to Sanjak, but then Tech opens up for you, and you get injured last year, which, I mean, my gosh, if you could combine the 2 years, last year in the region or super regional against Stanford, we could hit, but we couldn't pitch. This year was the opposite.
You know, there's I'm a firm believer in everything happens for a reason. And maybe I needed that injury last year to put me in this position I am now. And so whether it was for this reason or some other reason, that happened for a reason. And, you know, in the moment, of course I'm upset. Of course I'm down. And, you know, of course I'm down watching all my teammates play throughout the rest of the year. But, you know, if that had to happen for this to happen this year, then by all means, I'm all for it, you know?
So quickly, I know faith is important to you. It's one of the things you and I connected on early on. Tell us how your faith journey has helped you in all this, because it's kind of a wild journey.
Yeah. Well, I mean, a lot of people don't know it, but like it hasn't always been this way where, you know, I'm able to go out every outing and, you know, put up numbers and pitch well. There's been a lot of ups and downs, you know, pitching 7 innings at A&M and then COVID year. And, you know, there's a lot of times where I wasn't able to do this. And so having my faith, you know, it helps you in those times of adversity, push through it, you know, and to get past the tough times, to keep pushing, you know, for these good times, like this, you know, position that we're in now. And so having that has also helped me understand that sports isn't everything. You know, I would love to play pro baseball. I would love to be a big leaguer. But at the end of the day, you know, it's not who I am, and I'm okay with that. You know, I'm okay with not making this everything, because then if it don't work out and it's my everything, then I'm going to feel like I have nothing. You know, and so I've been able to further that mindset into, you know, and that's why I came back this year. You know, I was like, if I get hurt and don't get a chance to play professional baseball, I wasn't called to do it, you know, but maybe it is my calling, because now, you know, this is the first healthy year I've had in 3 years. And so, and that's something between me and God, you know, that's not anything. I didn't do anything differently. I just kept doing the same thing and doing, you know, he allowed me to have a healthy year. And so and I always tell people that's my balance, you know, and that's my balance in life between baseball and everyday life. It's like, I'm not going to let what I'm doing on the mound change the way I treat people, the way I interact with people. You know, nobody wants to interact with that guy. And I think that's the beauty of this platform I've been given. It's to show people like, hey, you can do something and be good at it, but you don't have to let it change you, you know? And I think that opens people's eyes, because they understand, like, yes, I can, I'm good at what I do, but also you could still be a good person, you know? And that's one thing I've really tried to show people is like, yes, I've done all these things on the mound, but it's not because of me, you know, it's because there's someone else that has allowed me to do these things. And so it's so easy to just let this, you know, all the glory and everything be like, yeah, I did this. Yep. This is all me. But at the end of the day, it's not for my own glory or my own name. You know, it's never, I say never, but it's not about that. You know, it's not about making my name bigger or the social media presence or the more followers or things like that. There's a bigger reason as to why I do this. You know, it's not for my kingdom. You know, it's for God's kingdom, and that's my mission. And you know, that whole mindset has helped me develop so much as a baseball player, because for one, it's taken the pressure off me to perform good, because I know that, like, at the end of the day, it's not who I am, but it's just what I do. You know, and so it's allowed me to reach a different, you know, or a group of people, and be able to use my platform to, you know, let people in on what I'm about.
So Brandon and I initially met at the Lubbock Cooper Little League baseball fields. And Emily, I think you were there that night too. You were cleaning up the mounds, right? Taking care of the fields. And it was the end of the season tournament.
Yeah.
My son's team that I coach, we were playing in the championship. We won. And I think the director just said, Kelly just said, hey, come over here and give these awards out to these kids, right? So that in and of itself, proof of the heart of Brandon. And you could just tell, both of you really, Brandon and Emily, like there's just something different here. Something stands out. And I knew who you were. It's like, holy cow, I didn't know his shoulder was still working because you were fresh off surgery at that point, right?
I didn't know surgery. But yeah, I was, I had just started throwing at that point.
Okay. Well, nonetheless, like you can just tell there's something different here. And I love that you said it's what I do, it's not who I am. I think that's a really important word for younger kids.
Yeah.
Like my son and all these kids trying to play travel ball and work their way up the ranks and get known and noticed. It's got to be something bigger than that, right?
It's by all means, it's so hard to understand that because when you're a kid, you want the followers, you want the attention, you want people to know you're good. And that's really one thing I always tell kids. You know, I went and talked to a couple teams and, given my testimony and stuff. I always let them know, like, hey, yeah, you can give it your all. You can love the sport. You can get upset if you lose, but you don't let it change who you are, and you don't let it change the way you treat people.
That's good. Okay, let's switch topics here.
Okay.
What all do you throw?
I throw a fastball, a curveball, a slider, and a changeup.
What's your favorite pitch?
Favorite? Of course, it's the fastball. Nothing better than just blowing a fastball by someone.
Especially when you throw it 98 to 100. What pitch do you least like to throw?
Probably the curveball right now, and I not least like, but it's probably my least confident pitch right now. And so it used to be my best pitch, but we it's not there right now.
Yeah.
And so I actually started to enjoy throwing a changeup too. I never really threw a good changeup before this year, and so, but yeah, that was probably the one I wasn't really going to a whole lot, and got to get better at that. But yeah.
So I've always tried to notice if I can tell a nuanced difference when a pitcher is throwing the fastball to throwing the changeup. Could never tell.
Yeah.
Could never tell with you.
So that's why it's the hardest pitch to hit in baseball.
Yeah. Well, it was always impressive. So you mentioned, my next question is what pitch needs the most work? Is it the curveball?
I'd say yes, but I'm confident in it is where I just need to throw it more.
Yeah. Okay, so it's just repetition.
The more I throw it, the better it will get.
Well,
that's what I'm excited for in pro ball is getting to learn more about pitching. Furthering the development of being an actual pitcher rather than just throwing the ball and just hoping it goes somewhere.
So, when you can throw it 98 to 100 consistently, 98 consistently for sure, do you feel like that sets you up in the next league to, like, are scouts looking at you to come in and be a closer because you're going to throw it 98 to 100? Do you think with the range, because you can throw a lot, you've got a range of pitches you can throw, are you projected to be a starter? What do you see?
Well, here's the thing is, they project guys to be more relievers if they're 95 to 96 in the first, and then they're in the high 80s in the fifth and sixth. But I was able to throw 98 in the first and then throw 96, 97 in my last inning. Mm-hmm. And so there weren't many games where my velocity dropped really below like 93. Mm-hmm. I think there was a few, maybe when it was like cold and we played Kansas or something like that. But I think they're going to let me start out as a starter. And really it's just all in their hands because they always ask me what I want to be. And I was like, I don't care if I'm a big leaguer, I'll be the water boy. If I'm making that kind of money and whatever, if you want me to be a reliever and go in the pen, by all means, And so I do like to be a starter. I like it because you have better routine and you get more preparation. But if they want me to be a reliever, I will. But
I think that was the main thing in that Oklahoma State game that Daddy Holiday was drooling over. I can't remember how far in that game did you go?
I went 7.
So I think it was the 6th or the 7th inning, and your fastball was still. I think you hit 98 at one point in the 6th or 7th inning, and you could just feel him melt like he was watching the next Randy Johnson. It was fun. That was a fun game to watch you pitch.
The umpire screwed me on that last run. I rewatched that video. He says I didn't come set. And, it may have been a short pause, but there was a pause, and you cost me a run, whoever that umpire was.
That was bad. We'll find him and we'll tag him on here. It wasn't Angel Hernandez. Okay, so last season you were drafted 11th round by the Twins. And you've touched on this a little bit, but what made you decide to come back?
I just saw the upside. And like now it's easy to be like, oh yeah, that's why he did it. Mm-hmm. But at the time, you didn't know. Yeah. I didn't know what year I was going to have. Yeah. And so there was a lot of risk, but I also saw the big picture. I saw the award. And so, and it's, along with my faith, there was just, it was tugging on me to come back for another year, whether that be to influence this guy or have the year ahead or whatever it may have been. And so that's why I came back. It was just I tend to make decisions with my feelings, which is probably not always the best way to do it, but that's how I was feeling. And so I came back, and now it's easy to see why.
Well, the analytical side would say that you made the right decision.
Yeah.
Right? Because your draft stock has risen significantly since that 11th round draft. Are you ready?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm excited more than anything. I'm excited to, further development and stuff like I was touching on. Just ready. I'm really ready to learn more about learning how to be a pitcher at the next level. So yeah, absolutely.
What do you think you need to learn? I mean, you throw in 98 to 100. What else is there to learn?
Well, there's I guess that's what we're gonna figure out. There's guys that know stuff that I don't, and I'm gonna learn from whoever's put in my path. So,
to the 16, 17-year-old kid who's being recruited by lots of D1 schools, and Tech is on the list, why should that young guy strongly consider Texas Tech?
Well, for one, they allow you to to just be your own person, and it's like, well, if you want to do weighted balls, you do weighted balls. If you don't, you don't. And they just allow you to develop, and the coaching staff really works well with you, and they really have the best intentions with each kid. And well, for one, we're good.
Yeah, that plays a big role.
Hopefully, that will happen for years and years to come. And you're in the Big 12. You're in the Big 12. You're getting to learn a lot, and you're getting to play against really good competition, and that's what gets you better. It's not playing against, the worst team in America. It's playing the best teams in America. Mm-hmm. That's what gets you ready. And at the end of the day, if it's your dream to play professional baseball, this is what helps you prepare for those next steps.
You mentioned how laid back it was. Yeah. And that played a role in your decision. And I think we can all see that when the camera pans to Coach Tadlock. I mean, he just looks like somebody you want to go grab a beer with on a Friday night, right? Like, he's just cool.
Yeah.
Playing for that style, what is that like?
Well, there can be pros and cons to it, because if it's left in the wrong hands of someone, you can get away with lack of effort or lack of intention. But the beauty of it is, like me, they allowed me to just get whatever I needed to get done to prepare for each outing. So for me, it was beneficial because, for one, I knew what I needed to get done to prepare for my next start. And so, batting practice, they let me go inside and get arm care done, do everything I possibly needed to get ready for each outing. But they saw, how beneficial I was to us every weekend, and so they allowed me to get what I needed to get done in order to get on the mound for each weekend.
So would you say for the kiddo that lacks self-motivation and has to be consistently their handheld in order to do what they need to do, maybe tech isn't a good fit? But if you're a highly motivated and you're responsible and we can trust you that you can excel here.
Yeah. It's just hard for me to see that because like I'm not that way. And so, in my eyes, if you're still that way where you know, they got to hold your hand along the way, college sports probably ain't the right route for you.
No.
You know? And so, because it's not easy, and it is lots of hours and lots of days where, you know, you got to do stuff you don't want to do. But at the end of the day, you got to have the discipline to do it. And so I think those kids kind of get weeded out.
Yeah.
You know, they get weeded out as time goes on because they understand this isn't what they signed up for.
Yeah.
They thought it was just playing ball and that was it. So
it's business.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's big business. Every outing, every game affects the potential business side of your brandability down the road. Okay, when's the wedding?
We are about to start looking at venues, so pretty soon here we'll know that date. And
the wedding is in.
She says Lubbock, so we're doing it in Lubbock.
Is that news to you?
Nope.
Okay.
Well, we're living here for a little bit, so I mean I'm going to be here in the off season, but all like the details, the decorating and all that stuff, that's out of my hands.
As it should be.
I think I made one suggestion and it was turned down. So I think I suggested hot dogs at the wedding.
Oh, Brandon!
And she said she turned that one down.
Emily, I'm with you on that one. Let's not do hot dogs. let's not do hot dogs. But we're working on the date.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll probably know here in the next couple weeks or so.
Okay. Well, I'll reiterate.
We'll probably be next winter.
Okay.
Because I mean, you know, a pro baseball player, you've got a short amount of time or short window to get things like that stuff like that done. So.
Yeah. Well, I just want to remind you all that as a licensed minister, I am able to perform weddings and funerals. So we'll just throw it out there.
Thanks for the info, John.
Yeah, absolutely. Man, Brandon, listen, not only as your friend and as a Guns Up Nation guy to get you on this podcast and spread the Brandon Birdsell message, but I can marry you and bury you if you need me to.
How about it?
So the long-term baseball goal for you is what?
Well, of course, is to be a big leaguer. You know, I personally, I love baseball. I want to do it for a career, but I'm more into the professional side of baseball because I could see it, you know, supporting my future family. And I love baseball, so it's like, why not, you know, best of both worlds. And but you know, there's a different timeline for everyone with the sport, and you never know when that's going to be over with. So I don't really have I want to play for X amount of years or things like that. I just want to be able to support our future family as we go on.
So after baseball,
I want to do strength and conditioning.
Okay.
Yeah, I kind of found a passion for that with Tori Stevens, our strength coach, throughout this past year, and so after that, I'll start interning with him and working to get certified.
Awesome. At the collegiate level, work with college baseball teams, high school. What, or is that too far in the future to even predict?
I don't think the high school side, more the college side, because I love working with Tori and Tyler in the weight room, and you know, just the impact they've had on me in my career, in my personal life. You know, it's awesome, and so. I mean, they get to hang out with 18 and 22-year-olds, some guys 23, 24, Easton. But they, you know, they really benefit your life in lots of ways, and you know, it's inspired me. And you know, I love the strength and conditioning side of it also, and so they just kind of helped me figure out that's what I want to do. Before that, it was landscaping, but now not so much.
Well, I think as Red Raider Nation continues to get to know you and your story and y'all's story, because it is y'all's story now, right? That no matter what you decide to do, and if that changes, like you've got the it factor to turn whatever it is you want to do into an overwhelming success. And I know I speak on behalf of Red Raider Nation when I say we wish you'd come back for another year, but that's being very selfish. We know it's best for you to move on to the pros and to the next phase of your life. But the vocal leader that you've been on the team this year, the physical leader, from an emotional standpoint, an encouragement standpoint, like it's obvious that was the role that you had on the team this year. And it'll be interesting to see who steps up next year. Do you have any predictions as to who's going to fill your leadership shoes, or is now the time to call out the right person? Or hopes for somebody?
I just hope they take that into their own hands and build off of what we had this past year, because I think leadership is important and you need the right leaders in the right spots. And so I hope it's important enough to them to, kind of pick their own leaders and have those guys kind of be the new voice of next year's team.
What do you see for next year's team?
Next year's team, I mean, you've got a really good sophomore class that are going to be juniors, and you've got some fourth-year guys. I mean, the heart of that pitching staff this past year, they were all sophomores, and so I think they got a really good staff going into next year. And we're getting a lot of transfers right now, a lot of really good transfers. Yeah. That are going to fill some of those spots leaving in the field. So, I don't think Tech has necessarily had a rebuilding year since Chadlock's been here.
No.
For as many people want to say this was a rebuilding year, I mean, we had a lot of old guys, and we made a regional, finished second in the Big 12.
And that's a rebuild.
Yeah.
That's a great rebuild.
I think you've got a lot to look forward to for next year's team.
And in your life as well. And it'll be exciting to continue to watch your journey, see what happens, and that'll be fun to get to watch what is next for the two of you, and baseball side obviously, but just where life takes you and all of the things. So, Brandon, I do consider it a legitimate blessing that we bumped into each other at the Lubbock Cooper baseball fields. It was about this time a year ago.
Yeah. I mean, I was just trying to make a little bit of extra cash, and I thank Kelly for that opportunity, because it's there's still people who are like, hey, you gave my kid that trophy, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, the hell is me.
Yeah.
And so it's just brought a lot of opportunity, with John and how graceful he's been to me, and a lot of other people that I met that night, handing out those trophies. So yeah, that was a real blessing in disguise.
Well, and I always reference you when my son and I go to pitch, because you're a great example of like, okay, watch the way he's breathing. If I say, all right, Dash, here's what you need to do, he doesn't listen. But if I say, okay, look, let's pull up this video of Brandon, look what he's doing.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden, oh yeah, I want to do it like Brandon did.
In Dash's defense, I was the same way.
Well, okay. All right, that's fine. That's fine. Man, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Emily, thanks for coming in and hanging out with us too. Legitimately, Guns Up Nation, Red Raider Nation, I know you know this, have nothing but love for you and everything that you did in your time here at Texas Tech, and the adversity that you overcame with the injury, coming back, being the leader, going 9-3, over 100 strikeouts. I mean,
two of those losses also were one-run ball games. So just to throw that out there.
Absolutely. Yes. But and that's a fair point.
We really appreciate you. Thank you so much for having us and, being so kind and genuine with us. We really do appreciate it.
Likewise, my friend.
And thank you, Red Raider Nation, for, the last 2 years. It was a lot of fun playing here in Lubbock and going out there and putting that uniform on.
Love it. This is the Guns Up Nation podcast. Catch you on the next one.